What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, we're doing the NASCAR Silly Season Update. We're going to recap everything that's happened so far in the 2023 to 2024 NASCAR Silly Season. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Silly Season would kick off in the second week of January as Kevin Harvick would announce that he'd be retiring at the end of the 2023 season and will join the Fox Sports booth in 2024 alongside Clint Bowyer and Mike Joy in the 2024 season after a very successful career in the NASCAR Cup Series. Then a couple days later, Kyle Larson would officially announce he'd be running the 2024 Indianapolis 500. He will drive for Aaron McLaren with Hendrick Motorsports backing and support. And it was confirmed about 2 months ago that he'll be driving the number 17 car as well as homage to Ricky Hendrick. I think it's really cool and glad to see Kyle Larson running in the 2024 Indianapolis 500. Then in late January, Chase Briscoe would officially announce he had signed a multi-year contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing. While the details were not officially closed how long the deal is, he will be with the team at least for the next 2 years and will try to rebuild Stewart-Haas Racing from the ground up starting in 2024. Then silly season be quiet for a few weeks. Then during Daytona Media Weeks, Daniel Suarez would officially confirm that he had signed a multi-year contract extension with Trackhouse Racing. While the details have not been enclosed for Daniel Suarez's contract extension, it's expected that Daniel Suarez will continue driving for Trackhouse Racing through at least the 2025 season and looks to improve in 2024. On that same day, it was announced that Alex Bowman also signed a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports through the 2026 season. It was also confirmed that Ali had also signed a contract extension through 2028 as well. So there's a great chance and possibility that Alex Bowman is also going to be the team through at least the 2028 season. Then the next day after that, Ross Chastain also confirmed that he had signed a long-term extension with Trackhouse Racing. While his details were not enclosed with his extension, it's expected that Ross Chastain will be with the team at least for the next 5 to 6 years, and also have Busch Beer jumping on as a sponsor for him in 2024 for at least 18 races, and it's a multi-year deal with that sponsor. A great sponsorship pickup for Ross Chastain going to 2024. Then silly season would be quiet for the next 2 weeks and months, but we started getting some confirmations about Junior Motorsports. Now, Junior Motorsports have been talking about potentially moving up to the Cup Series in 2024, and they've had some ambitions about maybe moving up to the Cup Series since around 2021, but unfortunately, they will not be moving up to the Cup Series in 2024. They want to, as he confirmed in his podcast with Chip Ganassi, but sadly, Junior Motorsports is not going to be making the jump up to the Cup Series in 2024. Maybe in the future does end up happening with some drivers they've gotten recently, but it will not happen for sure in 2024. Then in early May, Legacy Motor Co. would make a bombshell and shocking announcement as they would announce that they would be switching from Chevy to Toyota starting in 2024. And it was confirmed at the time that Eric Jones will also be going to Toyota in 2024 as well. And over the last 2 months, we've gotten a lot of confirmations that Jimmy Johnson will be also with Toyota in 2024. Legacy Motor Co. has been having a lot more speed in the second half of the year, and I think this is a great move for Legacy Motor Club going into 2024. Then throughout the season, there's been a lot of talk about Carl Edwards. And Carl Edwards has after getting announced as one of the drivers who's part of the 75 greatest drivers of all time, Carl Edwards says he's been interested in returning to NASCAR. Now, if he does return to NASCAR, it is going to be a one-off return. The teams that have been mentioned are 23XI Racing and Trackhouse Racing. Carl Edwards has said he visited the Trackhouse Racing shop back when Justin Marks was opening up his organization. And Denny Hamlin had confirmed on his podcast, Actions Detrimental, that he has spoken to Carl Edwards about potentially driving for his organization in a one-off. And according to what Denny Hamlin has said, Carl Edwards has been doing simulator work for JGR and Joe Gibbs Racing. So there's a potential possibility and chance we could see Carl Edwards make a return with one of these organizations. Then in early June, Joe Gibbs Racing would officially announce they have sold a minority stake to HBSE. Now, one thing you know is that there's no name change that's going to be coming to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024. It's just that it's going to be an investment firm to bring sponsorship and money and funding into the organization and to try to help the team going forward. It was also revealed that Heather Gibbs has also been doing a lot of stuff with JGR over the last few years. Nonetheless, JGR is getting a lot more investment. Then in late June, going early July, it would be officially announced that Josh Berry will be driving the 4 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024. It was also confirmed that Ronnie Truex will also be the crew chief of that number 4 car in 2024. They actually were planning to announce Josh Berry a lot sooner, but because of his substitution for Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, they decided to wait a little bit longer. But I think Josh Berry is a great driver and will do great things with SHR. And then over the last 2 months, there's been a lot of chatter about Frankie Muniz. And Frankie Muniz is planning to join the Xfinity Series or Truck Series in 2024. And it sounds like, according to reports recently, he could be in the running for the number 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports in 2024. Frankie Muniz has finished in the top 5 in the ARCA points this year and has had some pretty solid runs in ARCA with Retta Jones Racing. They're not the fastest organization in the world. Nonetheless, it'd be really cool if Frankie does make the jump in the future. Then in July, it will be announced that William Swatch will be expanding his schedule for 2024. He'll be running some Xfinity Series races when he turns 18 years old, but running a lot of Truck Series races in 2024 as well. He will turn 18 in October, and eventually in 2025 will move up full-time to the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs Racing. Then there's been a lot of talk about Ryan Preece, and it was confirmed very recently that Ryan Preece will be returning to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024, driving a 41 car once again, as it has been confirmed in the last week. Ryan Preece has served his extension to stay with Stewart-Haas Racing. Nonetheless, I think it's a fantastic move for Ryan Preece going into 2024. Then in the middle to late July, Justin Hailie would make another bombshell move as he would announce that he would be joining Rickwell Racing in 2024 on a multi-year deal. Some of the details revealed is that Brad Keselowski was involved in the meetings and conversations around Justin Hailie, and also Justin Hailie could eventually go to RFK in the foreseeable future after 2025. The reason he's going to Rickwell Racing is because he sees the team getting much faster and much quicker. Then there's been a lot of talk and conversation about Carson Osbar over the last 2 weeks. And it sounds like Carson Osbar is the favorite currently at the moment to drive the number 77 car for Spire Motorsports heading into 2024. Ty Dillon will talk about here probably later in this episode, but Carson Osbar has been really impressive in the Select Cup Series starts he's ran, and it sounds like he'll be moving up to the NASCAR Cup Series in 2024 with Spire Motorsports. Then in early August, Corey LaJoie would officially announce on his podcast, Stacking Pennies, that he has signed a multi-year contract extension with Spire Motorsports. Interestingly, Corey LaJoie has said publicly that he had multiple different offers from other teams, including Trackhouse Racing, about potentially joining them for 2024, but he sees what's going on at Spire right now, and that's a massive and huge reason why he's going to be sticking around with Spire Motorsports long-term, including in the 2024 season. Then before the Michigan weekend, on the Friday before the Michigan race, Ryan Ellis would officially announce he'd be returning to Alpha Prime Racing full-time in 2024, driving the number 43 car. Ryan Ellis has been solid this year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and in my opinion, deserves another chance and opportunity to continue driving for Alpha Prime Racing heading into the 2024 NASCAR season. Then during the Michigan weekend, Mark Truex Jr. would finally confirm that he'd be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024 in the number 19 car. We might be going through the same cycle we went through throughout the 2023 season. We didn't know if Mark Truex Jr. would be coming back for 2024, but with how well Mark Truex Jr. has been doing with Joe Gibbs Racing this year, it's not a surprising shock that he is returning. In that same time, Ryan Truex would also be announced he'd be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024. Now, Ryan Truex will for sure at least run a part-time schedule next year, but he's looking to run the full Truck Series, Xfinity Series season, I should say, in 2024. Ryan Truex was really impressive driving for Joe Gibbs Racing this year, and I think there's a good chance if they can find a sponsorship funding that he could be full-time. Then during that same Michigan weekend, Nick Sanchez would be confirmed that he'd be returning to Rev Racing in 2024. Now, he could be integrated to Spire Motorsports, and we'll talk about that here later in this episode. But Nick Sanchez could potentially will be returning to Rev Racing in 2024 after a very solid year as a rookie in the NASCAR Truck Series. He'll be back with Rev Racing. Then in the middle to late August, Front Row Motorsports would officially announce that they would announce their 2024 NASCAR Cup Series driver lineup. Michael McDowell will continue driving the 34 car in 2024, and Todd Gilliland will also continue driving the 38 car in 2024. Now, I've already mentioned about their Truck Series team. Front Row will continue having a Truck Series team in 2024, but nonetheless, Michael McDowell and Todd Gilliland will continue driving with their respective team in 2024. Then it was announced a few days later, after the situation with Noah Gragson had happened, that Noah Gragson would not be returning to Legacy Motor Club in 2024, as Toyota does not want to work with Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson's in the running for a lot of teams and organizations heading into the 2024 NASCAR season. It sounds like he could be going to a Truck Series team heading into 2024, but Noah Gragson has an opportunity to maybe go to also Kaulig Racing in 2024. Then it was announced a few weeks before Daytona, I think the week of Daytona as a matter of fact, that Austin Hill had signed a multi-year contract extension with Rich Schultz Racing and will continue driving the number 21 car in 2024. Austin Hill will go at least for the next 2 years in that 21, and then eventually will potentially move up to the NASCAR Cup Series when either Austin Dillon or Cobb Busch potentially retires or go to a third car in the future. With how well Austin Hill's done, he'll continue driving for RCR. Then there's been a lot of chatter around Aric Almirola, and it sounds like Aric Almirola could potentially be retiring at the end of 2023. There have been some conversations about also S. Sewerhouse Racing downsizing her program, but it sounds like if Aric Almirola is to retire at the end of 2023, Cole Custer is the most likely lead candidate to take over that car in 2024, but it sounds very likely at this moment that Aric Almirola is going to retire from the NASCAR Cup Series. Then about a month and a half ago, GMS Racing would officially announce that they'd be shutting down at the end of 2023. The big reason why they're shutting down is because of the fact that, of course, Legacy Motor Club is switching to Toyota, and Maury Gallagher, who is a co-owner of GMS Racing, is going to be focusing his assets on that Cup Series program to make them much faster and stronger. All three drivers, some of them are looking for rides going to 2024, but I expect all three drivers have rides in the 2024 calendar season. Then during Daytona Week, or for Daytona Week, Parker Kligerman would announce he'd be returning to Big Machine Racing in 2024. After a very solid year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Big Machine Racing, I think this is a well-deserved extension for Parker Kligerman and will for sure continue driving for the team as he looks to try to go win races. They've been fast in the second half of the year, and he looks to win the Roval this weekend as well. Then during Daytona Week, before the NASCAR Cup Series race took place, Kurt Busch would finally confirm that he'd be retiring from NASCAR going forward, and he's not medically cleared to return to the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, he's still working with 2311 Racing and will continue working with 2311 Racing at least for the foreseeable future. Kurt has said he needs to be medically cleared before he even goes out and does any form of racing in the foreseeable future. It's disappointing Kurt Busch is not going to be coming back, but due to his health, that's a pretty massive and big reason why Kurt Busch is sadly retiring after a very great career, and in my opinion, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Then Matt DiBenedetto, a few days later, shockingly would announce for the Southern 500 that he would not be returning to Rackley WR Racing in 2024. And just in the last 2 weeks, they would confirm they had cut ties with Matt DiBenedetto, and he's not finishing in the year with Rackley War in 2024. I think it's a little disappointing to see the team cut him early. I really think they should have given him the rest of the year, considering he got into the playoffs and had a very good year in the Truck Series this year. But Matt DiBenedetto is looking for a ride heading into 2024. He might be able to find one, though, for 2024. Then after the Southern 500 and Denny Hamlin's really strong run there, Denny Hamlin finally confirmed that he had signed a multi-year contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. On top of that as well, 2311 Racing will remain with the Toyota organization in 2024. There have been some chatter 2311 Racing could switch from Toyota to Ford in the 2024 season, but that got denied very quickly, and Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick will continue staying with the team for many years to come, but Denny Hamlin for sure is sticking around with Joe Gibbs Racing. Then about a month ago, it would be announced that John Henry Nemechek would officially be joining Legacy Motor Club in 2024, driving the number 42 car. John Henry Nemechek had been most likely to drive that 42 car after Noah Gragson got let go from the organization, with them switching to Toyota, and how strong John Hunter had been with the Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity team. Many believed he deserved a chance and shot to move back up to the NASCAR Cup Series once again, and he will continue driving in the Cup Series or be back in Cup in 2024. Then about a month ago, it was also announced that Sam Mayer would be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2024, driving the number 1 car. Sam Mayer's had a breakout year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, scoring 2 victories, and while he most likely has to win the Charlotte Roval this weekend, I think there's a good chance and possibility that Sam Mayer could have a chance and opportunity to get that done heading into 2024. Nonetheless, he'll be continuing to drive the 1 car in the 2024 NASCAR Xfinity Series season. Then right before the Bristol NASCAR Cup Series race, Shane Van Gisbergen would officially be announced that he'd be signed to Trackhouse Racing in 2024 on a development deal. He'll run part-time in the NASCAR Cup Series with Trackhouse Racing, around 12 to 15 races in the 2024 season. He'll run a lot of Xfinity Series races, some Truck Series races, and also run in ARCA as well. With how strong Shane Van Gisbergen has been, he looks to develop his stuff and be better on ovals going forward, because eventually he could go full-time with Trackhouse in 2025. Then during the Bristol weekend, Dale Hemrick would finally be announced to be driving a 31 car for Kaulig Racing in 2024. They've been teasing this really exciting driver who was going to be the 31, and while Dale Hemrick isn't the most exciting driver in the world, he is the driver who's won a championship in the Xfinity Series before, going back to 2021 with Joe Gibbs Racing, and I think it's a pretty good pickup for Kaulig Racing headed into 2024. During that press conference, though, there was a lot of questions revolving around the 16 car for 2024. A lot of people believe that AJ Allmendinger could move back down to the Xfinity Series on a full-time basis in the 2024 season. And if Allmendinger moves back down, that 16 car could be available. Drivers who've been mentioned for the 16 car have been Ty Dillon, Noah Gragson, and Matt DiBenedetto. And also Chandler Smith has been linked to the ride as well. So there's multiple drivers who are in the running for that 16 car headed into 2024. Then during the same Bristol weekend, Zane Smith would officially be announced his 2024 ride, and he'll be joining Trackhouse Racing in 2024. He will drive for Spire Motorsports in 2024, and Trackhouse will also have an alliance with Spire Motorsports in 2024, where Zane Smith is going to get Trackhouse engineers for the 2024 season, and he looks to have a great year with Spire Motorsports as they will expand to 3 cars. I think it's a massive, massive move for Zane Smith. Finally going full-time Cup Series racing, I think is a great move for Zane's career, and I think he'll have a pretty solid career in the Cup Series. With the expansion of Zane Smith going to Spire, Live Fast Motorsports has sold their charter to Spire Motorsports for around $40 million. Now, they are going to run a part-time schedule in 2024. It's unclear who the drivers are going to be. BJ McCaw's probably going to run some races. Anthony Alfredo is also probably going to run. I would expect maybe even Sheldon Creed could get a chance and opportunity to drive for the organization as well. Nonetheless, I think it's a fantastic move for Live Fast Motorsports to sell their charter, and I think it really helped their program going forward. Then during the same weekend of Bristol, Brandon Jones would officially be announced that he'd be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2024, driving the number 9 car. Now, this initially had been announced at Daytona National Speedway about 2 or 3 weeks prior to this, but Brandon Jones, I think, is making a pretty solid move to stay with Junior Motorsports, and also sponsorship funding is a pretty big key reason why he's sticking around with Junior Motorsports next season. Then during the same Bristol weekend, after Justin Allgaier won the Xfinity Series race on Friday night, he would also be announced to be returning to Junior Motorsports as well in 2024, driving the 7 car. He had been one of the drivers had been rumored maybe to go to the 31 car for Kaulig Racing for the 2024 season. But Justin Allgaier, with his funding and sponsorship, how long of a partnership he's had with Junior Motorsports, will stick around. Then there's been a lot of chatter recently about Hailie Deegan. I've talked about her on this channel quite a bit because Hailie Deegan wants to move up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024. Currently, at the moment, as we speak right now, there's a lot of conversation at the moment that Hailie Deegan could be moving up to the Xfinity Series in the 2024 calendar year, and it could be with AM Racing. AM Racing announced about a week ago that they are going to be expanding to 2 full-time Xfinity Series cars headed into the 2024 season. We don't know if Brett Moffitt is returning. We'll talk about him later in this. But Hailie Deegan, I think, is ready to move up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024. I know she's struggled in the Truck Series with Thor Sport Racing, but I certainly do believe that Hailie Deegan will have a pretty good year if she does move up. So it seems like there's a really great chance and possibly she's going to be moving up. As much as she has struggled in the Truck Series at times, she's looking to move up to the Xfinity Series in 2024. Then over the last week, there's been some chatter around Brody Kosecki. And Adam Stern reported about a week ago that Brody Kosecki is expected to run 3 Cup Series races in 2024. And it sounds like it's going to be with Arabis Motorsports, as they announced earlier this evening that they are looking to intend to run a few select NASCAR Cup Series races in 2024 with an RCR alliance. Arabis Motorsports, obviously one of the biggest teams in the Supercar Series, and they've been making huge moves with the Australian Series. Also, long you look at what they've been doing with Shane Van Gisbergen. I think we're going to see Brody Kosecki do some pretty good things next year. Then about a week ago, it was officially finalized that Sammy Smith will be driving the A car for Junior Motorsports in 2024, and we'll have Pilot Flying J as a sponsor for 2024 as well. Sammy Smith's been having a pretty solid rookie year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Junior Motorsports, and with Joe Gibbs, I should say, and I think he'll continue doing great things with Junior Motorsports, as he will be with the team at least for the next 2 to 3 seasons. Then on Thursday, or Wednesday, I should say, it was announced that Daniel Dye will be driving for McAnally Hilgeman Racing on a full-time basis in 2024, driving the number 43 car. McAnally Hilgeman Racing is expected to be a 3-car organization in the 2024 calendar season, and I do personally believe that Daniel Dye will improve in 2024 than he had done in altogether in 2023. Nonetheless, it's good to see that Daniel Dye does have a ride in 2024, but when you have connections, it's much easier to get rides. And then on that same day, it would be shockingly announced that Spire Motorsports had officially purchased Kyle Busch Motorsports, also known as KBM. They've also taken over the riding manufacturing and the CNC shop, and it was also confirmed over the weekend that Kyle Busch is going to run at least 5 races with the team in 2024. Now, the drivers have not been announced for this organization for 2024 for Spire, but drivers have been linked, including Chase Purdy, who currently has a contract with KBM. He was originally supposed to return to Kyle Busch Motorsports for 2024, but he'll be likely driving for Spire. Roger Kroof has also been linked to the Spire truck for 2024, and also another driver that has been linked as well recently has been Matt DiBenedetto, and I think a couple of drivers could also drive for the team as well, including Kyle Larson and other drivers like Chase Elliott as well going into the future. Then this past weekend, it was officially finalized that Harrison Burton will be returning to the Wood Brothers in 2024. This had been reported about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He was likely going to be returning to the Wood Brothers, but now it's officially finalized and confirmed that he is going to be sticking around with the Wood Brothers in the 2024 season. When you have sponsorship funding from a pretty big company like Dex Imaging, it makes a lot of sense for him to stick around, and he will continue driving for them in 2024. Finally, after Brett Moffitt had won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, he says he does not have his plan set currently for 2024. Now, he currently drives at AM Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but it sounds like he may not be returning to AM Racing in 2024. They do have a press conference scheduled for this upcoming Thursday, and I talked about Hailie Deegan. She's very likely going to be headed to AM Racing, and Christian Rose also could be headed there as well next year. Front Row's another option, though, for Brett Moffitt going to next season. That's one team that I think could be potentially, because they're looking to expand to 2 full-time trucks in 2024. So, that is going to be it for the NASCAR Silly Season Update, the October edition. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, thus go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links are below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your thoughts about the NASCAR Silly Season up to this point? Do you think Hailie Deegan's headed to AM Racing or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And where do you think drivers like Matt DiBenedetto could potentially end up heading next year in 2024? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We got a lot of great content dropping throughout the week. The NASCAR Xfinity Series race picks will be dropping later today for the Roval. Then tomorrow there's likely going to be a double upload day on the channel. We'll have probably the NASCAR news video dropping along with the 2024 schedule announcement and a lot of other great content dropping throughout the week as well. So guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time for more great awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.